talk about tech with one of the best pundits in the industry, Henry Kobler, lead for Eyes of Africa. Hey, good afternoon to you. And we're going to begin with African Fintech Flutterwave, which appears to be making waves lately. The latest is that it is preparing for an IPO on the Nasdaq stock exchange. Wow, that's a big one. What do we know so far?
Yeah, thank you very much. So generally, I think that Flutterwave has shown in terms of its platform that they sort of are giving the right solutions when it comes down to the fintech industry. I mean, they've led a lot of the innovations that are sort of reflecting in quite a number of payments that is going on site and off site as well. So I think that definitely them looking at going for an IPO basically is also stemming in from the ability to be raising quite a good funding and to be also transcending through different African countries. But I think that the most important thing we should be looking at is the solution right? Is the solution getting some good traction? If it is, then I think that them working into an IPO definitely gives them that leverage to be able to get more into providing the solutions that will come in. I mean, generally, it really wouldn't be about the money or just for the fun of it, but it's also more important about how they're sort of taking up the fintech mantle up here in Africa. I think that we should be looking at them in terms of how they could also just push better off. I mean, just same as like PayPal and other payment platforms that are sort of running around, and how they could definitely help the minor integrations of marketplaces and startups that are sort of springing up in Africa, and we being able to control and manage our data here in Africa. So I think it's actually a good move coming in from, especially when they've been able to solve part of their problems that was coming in from their culture and issues that were coming in from their CEOs engagements, which was more of like a bad news for them. But I think that this basically raises the standard for them again, if they're able to go through.
Yeah, and one of the things I thought about is they're doing this on the back of bad news, allegations of money laundering. And so wouldn't that have an impact as they seek to raise some funds on the New York Stock Exchange?
It would sometimes shock you when it gets down to people going about some of these news. Definitely does not get to a lot of the people that are really looking out for solutions. So people that would definitely dwell on some of these negative news are people that are particular about startup culture, startup employees, startup engagements with employers and all of those things. And so you have a part of people that are really within the ecosystem talking about the bad news. But for people that are really looking at having proper transactions going through and all, and them looking at how Flutterwave could definitely look at proper expansion. I mean, African Continental Free Trade basically coming into the light, how they could definitely position themselves to take advantage of that setup, all basically counts for a lot of people that are looking out for business solutions. And so I think that that would definitely be in the light. I'm sure that we've seen quite a number of changes also going inside the company. And so we're only hoping for the best. I mean, one of the most important things is an African company. We don't want to promote what's not good, but we also want to make sure that we're also promoting our own solutions, homegrown solutions that can definitely help businesses down here and sustain the data and all those that it comes with here.
And like you point out, it's an African company, so we're excited about it. When I saw this storyline, I quickly checked out Jumia and how it was faring. It's been pretty shaky for them at the beginning of this month, but the last couple of years, we're excited to hear that Jumia was going to list on the New York Stock Exchange. What lessons can Flutterwave learn from Jumia's experience?
So I think that I would not really look at how Jumia really is looking at us against Flutterwave, because for me, one of the things I've really believed in is that payment precedes everything, really. So if you're looking at Jumia stock, I mean, they've just quite been down over almost by like 38%. Not really encouraging, but I think that basically Jumia went in at a time where there's been a lot of fuss about getting an IPO, especially when you're bringing up a tech company. And so that shouldn't. I think that the lesson that Flutterwave could definitely look at is not to really fancy how IPOs basically affect companies and how big it makes you look like and all of that, but relatively looking at the solutions.
Okay.
E-commerce is difficult. payments really is something that it happens almost every day. For people to jump on e-commerce platforms and be transacting on e-commerce platform, the trust levels alone, the logistics that gets into it, it's quite a bit of work. So I think that Flutterwave definitely could get a bit ahead of Jumia if they're able to put things right. But I think that there are quite a number of lessons they could also set up Flowcard from there.
Let's head back home and do this quickly. Let's talk about the launch of an After Hub by government. The communications minister earlier this week intended to help stem digital payment fraud. How does that work?
So when I saw the news, I wanted to get more information. Again, it comes out to the point where I keep saying that stakeholder engagement is really important, because I don't know how many stakeholders who are within the ecosystem or even the startup ecosystems relatively got to understand what exactly is being built. When you talk about fraud comes in several ways. I mean, different ways. If you're looking at it as a platform that is going to be regulatory and also tackling fraud, yes, that's a good step in the right directions. But how many people are going to point out to that? You're talking about integrating freely on these platforms. What kind of APIs are available? How safe are these APIs themselves? I mean, I feel that there's supposed to be a lot more stakeholder engagements that is going to help, I mean, all these people that are building. I like the trend where Bank of Ghana basically releases a sandbox to say, try it even before you walk into our offices. And so then you basically have everybody right from the ground coming in attachment to it. You just don't build a system in isolation and then get people to sort of say, connect to it, let's try and make it this work. But I think that's actually a good step in the right direction. There's supposed to be a lot of stakeholder engagement, get people to sort of understand what is being built, because the whole after thing now turns out to be sometimes a title rather than more of an implementation platform for us.
Okay, we hear you. More stakeholder engagement. Thanks so much, Henry Kobler, lead for Eyes of Africa, joining us for Let's Talk Tech. And that's the